Am I the asshole for not changing my daughter's birthday to be not vegan? Last edit. This has gotten way more attention than I thought it would. Most people have been kind, thank you. Some people have given me a well-needed talking to about looking at how I'm living my life, thank you for that too. I can't respond to everyone, but I am doing my best to catch up with reading all of the comments now. I have seen that some people are still weirded out by soup being a main dish and not a side. Soup was chosen because it can feed a large amount of people for not a lot of cash. Money is tight, as I'm sure it is for so many other people right now. If you have a low-cost alternative suggestion, please let me know. Thanks for all the judgments. So first a little background. I found out at a very young age, 3 months, that my youngest is allergic to dairy and eggs. After a bunch of testing, it was determined that she can't have dairy or eggs in any form, not even cooked, baked. On to the issue. Her first birthday is next weekend. From the get-go I wanted her birthday to be completely safe for her. As in, all food, drink, desserts, etc. will be egg and dairy free. We have spent so much time figuring out what she was allergic to and avoiding it. I wanted to have one day where we do not have to monitor everything she ate. And of course, being a baby, she tends to grab for anything she wants, so having no allergens at all means I don't have to worry if one of our other children, 6 female, 3 male, leaves their food in her reach. This is becoming a problem now because my husband doesn't want to have only vegan food, because he says him and his side of the family won't eat it. I wasn't planning on anything too out there. My mom volunteered to make her homemade veggie soup, and I was going to make a chocolate cake and frosting. The only difference between normal cake and frosting and the one I'm making is applesauce instead of eggs and oat milk instead of cow's milk. My nephews on my husband's side won't eat the soup at all, I guess, and neither will their parents. The boys I think would have liked the cake, but as soon as my in-laws discovered it was vegan, they said they won't eat vegan food, and neither will their kids. My husband wants to just do pizza and normal cake because it's what they like. I don't understand the point of having a birthday meal that the birthday kid can't even eat. I didn't think it was too much to ask to have one day that is catered to my daughter, when she's going to have to spend the rest of her life working around everyone else. Am I the asshole? ETA, I have no problem making foods including meat, and have already told everyone this. I tend to just default to saying vegan instead of egg-free and dairy-free, just because it's faster, which is my bad. I've found a few options of food that do contain meat, that are still allergen-free that I hope will make everyone happy. One more edit, I didn't realize that soup would be considered so weird. Tears of joy, we live in California, but my family and I were all born and raised in Germany. Where we are from, it's not unusual to have soup for a dinner. If you Google Gemüsebrei you'll see what I'm talking about. At this point soup is off the table. You are absolutely not the asshole and you should do this every birthday. We have spent so much time figuring out what she was allergic to and avoiding it. I wanted to have one day where we do not have to monitor everything she ate. Wait, does it include your husband? Was he a part of this process? I have the feeling it was all your work. This is becoming a problem now because my husband doesn't want to have only vegan food, because he says him and his side of the family won't eat it. What the fuck is wrong with him? Not the asshole beyond reasonable doubts. ETA. Side note. Siding with parental family over spouse and kids is always a red flag. But this is only a minor aspect of a bigger issue here. Thanks to all upvotes and comments below that explain it better as I ever could. Not the asshole, I can't have gluten and my family still don't understand why I get upset when they buy a regular cake on my birthday. Not the asshole. Your husband is an asshole who is so selfish that he can't even accommodate his daughter's restrictions for one day. If you hadn't told him, he would have eaten a vegan cake and would have never been able to tell the difference. Not the asshole. To hell with their preferences, this is your baby's health. They're being incredibly selfish, entitled, and ignorant, and unless you stand up for her now to shut this down, this will be her entire life. Not the asshole. Guess they just won't eat then. Honestly, the party is for your youngest, not them. You'd think they could just suck it up for a couple hours. And the not eating because it's vegan thing is just silly. Bet they eat lots of other stuff that's vegan all the time without realizing, because no label. Not the asshole. It's not even vegan? There doesn't seem to be an issue with having meat, just dairy and eggs. Your husband is being selfish and lazy. Not the asshole. Your daughter's birthday is about her, not about them. If they are dumb enough not to know that there are plenty of vegan options that are delicious, and they refuse to try new things because they know that they won't like it, Perhaps they aren't mature enough to attend a 1-year-old's party. By the way, my family has a young one who is allergic to dairy, so we switched to soy milk in our Thanksgiving pumpkin pie this year so she could have it. We decided that we like it even better and will be making it that way from now on. Am I the asshole for offending the bride and groom? Hey Reddit. Throwaway because IRL people know about my main account. One of my friends, Katie, fake name, is getting married soon, and while hanging out she mentioned that she will be sending us her Venmo so that we could pitch in for the wedding. I was confused, so I asked her what she meant. She said that since she and her soon-to-be husband couldn't afford the wedding party, they were requesting people to cash in as well. I come from a culture where parents usually pay for their kids' weddings, or sometimes the soon-to-be wed do it for themselves or borrow money, which they return back. I was confused and I asked Kate that when will she return the money then, because I really didn't think we were so close as to we could borrow money from each other, and she probably got offended or something over that. My other friend Maya, fake name again, who is also from my culture, then explained to me that it's apparently normal to chip in for your friend's wedding here. I again got confused and somewhat offensive, asking if it's a wedding party, why do the guests need to pay then? Kate really got mad and called me an ass for embarrassing her in front of everyone. Her fiancé later called me to say that I really hurt their feelings and now I am disinvited from the wedding. I am wondering where I went wrong and if I was being ignorant. Maya is citing this to be some sort of culture shock. The asshole, and how do I fix this? Edit info. We are in the US. Not the asshole. The audacity of announcing your Venmo to have people pay for a party. Open mouth smile. The disinvite is a bonus. Now you don't have to throw money away on a gift either. It is not normal in the US to make your guests pay for your wedding. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Asking questions about a custom that you have never heard of isn't rude. I think it's hilarious that they think not letting you pay for part of their wedding is a punishment to you. Not the asshole. Your friend Maya was wrong. It's not customary for friends to pitch in and pay for the wedding. Sometimes people help with decorations or food but they don't fund it. A lot of people will give the bride and groom a card with money in it as a wedding gift but they don't Venmo money to pay for the wedding. That's nuts. You're in the States? Not the asshole. It's not a thing unless you're tacky. Info. Where have you moved to? I'm Aussie and never heard of chipping in for a friend's wedding. Closest would be the bridal groom party, probably pay for, throw the bachelorette, bachelor party, but some bride, grooms pay for their own. In my opinion, if you can't afford the big wedding you want, then you have a small wedding. My partner's and my wedding, when COVID allows, is around $5,000 Australian dollars. Not the asshole. It isn't normal to ask guests to chip in. If they can't afford the wedding then they shouldn't do it. Yeah. Why not have a great wedding party paid for by the guests that are also supposed to bring insanely expensive gifts and get their color-coordinated fancy dresses or suits for the event? Why the hell not? Just in case it wasn't clear. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my mom to drive me to the hospital instead of telling my husband? I'm 8 months pregnant and I can't drive. I had my gynecologist appointment yesterday and I needed a ride there. My husband could drive me but he'd come home tired from work, so we both decided it's better to let him rest. So I told my mom to drive me there. Here's where I might be my mom is working too and she's a 60-year-old woman. She gets up at 4 a.m., leaves for work at 4:30 and comes back home every day at 5 p.m. She's getting very tired there. My brother and his wife basically called me out on this yesterday when they found out my mom would drive me to the gynecologist instead of my husband. My brother said I'm taking advantage of my mom barely saying no and doing everyone's favor, and how my husband is responsible for taking me to the doctor since he's working a 9-5 office job and he's a 30-year-old man as opposed to my 60-year-old mom who works as a nanny and has to care for 3 toddlers. They both said I'm selfish to exhaust my mom more and taking advantage of her because I value my husband's rest more than my mom's. My mom also said she'd rather my husband take me there because she can't keep doing this and she's getting old, but I'm her daughter and no matter what she will help me. Now I feel like the asshole for taking advantage of her. You are the asshole. Your husband is equally responsible for that child as you. You gonna call your mother when the baby is crying in the middle of the night? We both decided it's better to let him rest. So I told my mom to drive me there. So you didn't ask her, just decided that it was now her responsibility. My mom also said she'd rather my husband take me there. And she didn't want to do it. Now I feel like the asshole for taking advantage of her. Yeah, sorry, but you really should. #you are the asshole. You are the asshole. Your mom didn't knock you up. This dude did, so make him take care of it. You are the asshole. Why do you think your husband should get to rest but not your overworked mother? Yeah, it really does sound like you are knowingly and selfishly taking advantage of your mother's generosity. Even your mom directly told you that you are putting an undue strain on her. You are the asshole. Your husband needs to take you from now on. Edit. Also, for info. Did you tell your mom why you were asking her? Were you completely honest and said, well, hubby is tired from work, so we both decided that even though you also work we'd still rather ask you to do it? Or did you tell her your husband wouldn't take you? You are the asshole. Why is this even a discussion? You've already pointed out every reason why your husband should take you over your mother, other than the fact that he's the father and it's his responsibility in the first place. Leave your poor mother alone and let her rest. Your husband sounds like lazy deadbeat father already. It doesn't matter if he works all day and is tired, shouldn't get pregnant if he wants to rest. I was on your side until you said your mother would rather your husband take you, so yay, you are the asshole. If you had said she didn't mind taking you or she was excited to and wanted to take you, I would have remained on your side. Her rest is more important than your husband's. She took care of her kids and they are now grown. Do you expect her to come over and take care of the baby while your husband rests also? I have a news flash for you and your husband. After the baby is born, you will both be getting even less rest for a while. Might as well get used to it now. You are the asshole. You don't tell your mom to drive you somewhere, you ask her. And if you know she'll say yes even if it means you put her in a bad situation, don't ask. Why ask your 60-year-old mother who works 12-hour days instead of your 30-year-old husband who does a 9-5? It's beyond me. Am I the asshole for breaking my promise to my husband and letting others meet our newborn before him? IF25 moved away from my town and to my husband's M32 hometown after we got married. The main reason is because he suffers from a medical chronic condition and needs to be near his family. I was pregnant with our first baby and was nearing my due date when my husband had to travel out of town for work for 2 weeks. Because of this he couldn't be with me in the delivery room, which wasn't expected. I wanted to ask Mom to come be with me, but he assured me that his family are there to help and I shouldn't be worried. He then made me promise that I don't let anyone see our son for the first time in person before him besides his stepmom, who was supposed to be there for me, and I agreed. His stepmom was with me when I went into labor, but she stayed away since she is the type that doesn't get too involved and keeps her distance. She's also the "I don't do diapers" type, meaning she doesn't offer help with the baby and I shouldn't be expecting it. She dropped me and my son off at home and asked that I only call if there's an emergency. I felt helpless. I asked my neighbor for few favors but needed real help with the baby, so I called my mom. She knew I'd just given birth, and asked if she could come help me, and she drove 4 hours to come stay with me. She helped out tremendously and I'm so grateful for that. My husband stayed away for few more days then came home. Once he saw my mom he got so upset, repeatedly saying I broke the promise that I made him by not letting others meet our son before him, and I explained that I needed help and he brought up his stepmom, but I replied that she dropped me off and left, that's it. Besides, he and Mom are on good terms. I didn't get why he was mad. She met her grandbaby, which was inevitable. He said it wasn't about Mom since it could have been anybody else, but it was about me disrespecting his wishes and breaking the promise I made. He reminded me that he's also the parent and he gets a say too. At this point I said he was overreacting, but he replied that I forever tainted the memory of his son's birth and broke his trust and proved to him that my word is worth shit now. Mom tried to give us space, but I said she did nothing wrong. She came to help after his stepmom left, so I can't be blamed for asking for help. He told me to stop giving him excuses and admit I wronged him with what I did, and then started avoiding me and just kept focusing his attention on our son. He keeps acting cold towards me, calling me a selfish promise breaker and expecting me to make it up to him. He wanted an apology, but I haven't given him that yet. Am I the asshole? AITA, we did talk to each other on the phone several times and he already knew that his stepmom refused to stay with me and told me to just call if something happens, but I didn't tell him about calling me Mom knowing how he'd react, and decided to wait till he got home so we could talk about it. Not the asshole. He prevented you from organizing help for yourself. He didn't come home after the birth. My significant other would be single, and I mean that. He needs to live in his hometown because of a chronic medical condition, but goes out of town for 2 weeks when his kid is being born. Like, I know there are some professions where that would be a thing, but the imbalance there leapt out at me. What about your needs? What about your recovery? Your husband is isolating you at a time when you need support most. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but your husband is for so many reasons. The best part is that he think it tainted the memory of his son's birth? He wasn't even there. So he has no memory of it, and thus has no say in how you wanted things handled. Zero. Nada. Just, wow. You know, they say a classic sign of an abusive, yes, I'm going there, partner as they try to separate you from or shut out your family. Think coal miner's daughter. My eyebrows were raised already when Op said they wanted their mom at the birth and her husband said no. For what reason? This already shows there was a problem well before Op, broke her promise, face with rolling eyes. All the husband cared about when he got home was focusing on berating the mother of his firstborn, not the joy of creating a family or having a new child. I have a suspicion there are and were a mountain of other issues with this guy, his family, and their marriage that she's not mentioning, or at least not acknowledging. Not the asshole, but definitely there's more here. Not the asshole. Why was it okay for his stepmom to meet the baby before him but not your mom? His priorities are seriously messed up if he thinks him getting to meet his baby before anyone else trumps your need for help and support taking care of newborn and yourself. His expectations were controlling and unfair. You do not owe him an apology, he owes you one. Not the asshole. Your husband is either ignorant or willfully unaware of what it would be like to come home to be alone with one's first child. It sucks that his work was unable to accommodate him being with you at the time of your child's birth. I find that cruel and inhumane. But his expectation that nobody would meet the child was foolish and immature. You needed help. You reached out. You got help for you and your son. Your husband's behavior and either his inability or choice to understand your situation is problematic, to say the least. Not the asshole. Yeah. Heal up and leave. Your husband is acting like an entitled selfish brat. He has no idea what it's like to give birth. AMD need help afterwards. His family isn't helping you. What does he expect? He's showing major red flags. And there's no excuse, work or not, he wasn't at the birth unless he's in the military, and even then they probably would have made an exception. Tell your husband name calling is for toddlers, to grow up, or you need to run. At breakneck speed. Not the asshole. JFC, take the baby and run.